I'm going to show a couple of videos. So it's very important you tell me to put the light down if you cannot see the videos, okay? Because today we're going to talk about not new technologies, but ancient technologies, and specifically how taking a walk on the wild side can give us perhaps insights on new technologies. So I'm a primatologist, so that means that I study animals and I study primates, and you're an animal, and so am I, and I take this as a compliment, so I hope so do you. And also, I think by learning more about what it means to be an animal could save you some money, at least on consultancy fees, because there are some things that are usually made very expensive that actually can be made cheaper. And I'm not going to give you the prescriptions because you are the guys who know how to do this stuff, but I'm just going to give you some suggestions. So as soon as we have the presentation, we'll start. But the basic point, if we're just going to start by the end, is that there are many creativity workshops and creativity consultancies, and we're told to be disruptive and to connect things and to go beyond our boundaries, but actually to be in a state, in an emotional state that affects your cognition in a way that you're actually able to do that is not necessarily always said how we get there. So my point is very simple. Let's try to make things cheaper through being an animal. And so what the science of unBound can tell us about creativity. And let's see, because this is, again, not working, which is part of what I'm going to talk, actually. There's something, part of being unBound allows you to improvise. It's not that this is necessarily working for me, but there we go. So unBound, what is it to be unbound? To be unbound, according to the Oxford Dictionary, is to be released from bonds or restraints, unchained, emancipate, set free, liberate. Being unbound is a state, is being in a state. And being unbound actually is an evolved technology that has been around for a very, very long time. It's not a new technology at all. Being unbound, in fact, is more than 200 million years old. Why do I say more than 200 million years old? It's probably more, 250, 300? We don't know. Because being unbound is being in a state of play. And of course, play is very ancient. It's a very ancient drive for animals, that it's a drive for engagement and for creativity, for search. And it is not a coincidence that the animals you see here happen to be one of the most intelligent, long-lived, with higher cognitive and social complexity that are alive. Why is this? Being unbound and being in play is the state where uncertainty is fun. And this is actually very important for creativity, because animals, humans, and non-humans alike, we are really, really scared about uncertainty. To do anything new, you have to jump into uncertainty, but uncertainty is very, very stressful. It drives us into chronic stress and many other undesirable states of learning. But play is really weird if you think about it. Only in play, uncertainty is like, I don't know, this is fun. I don't know how they end, so how the joke will end, or how the game, what will be the result. It's very strange. Only in this state, this thing that usually is very stressful becomes desirable. I want to create uncertainty. I actually search it. I create it. So the main lesson from the wild side is that play underpins creativity, and that is what I was trying to tell you. This is the cheap state that you can actually command in order to create environments for creativity. And there's 4 elements that I'm going to show you today that are very important to highlight. One is disruption, novelty and diversity, connectivity and exuberance. And I think you probably, all of you, know why they are essential for creativity, but let's have a look. So this particular story, I'm going to show you videos from the Peter Pan ape. The Peter Pan apes are bonobos, your living closest relatives. And this is just a paper we did for Current Biology in the anniversary special called The Biology of Fun. So it's just to show that this stuff is also now serious science. The biology of fun is very important. Biology of fun is very important for creativity. And it's, of course, the science of unBound. And bonobos are your living closest relatives together with chimpanzees. And this is our human family. And of course, that's my favorite human. Many of you here might recognize him. And we do not descend from them. We share a common ancestor that lives around Lake Chenghe, an evolutionary grandmother that lived around 7 million years ago. Okay? So we don't descend on them, they're our cousins. And my walk on the wild side was 3,000 kilometers around here. So this is DRC, Congo, Exaire, that's the river Congo, and bonobos only live south of the river. So of course, it's very difficult for us to get insights from these animals, even though they are your closest living relatives, and we know very little, because obviously Congo has political and logistical challenges. And that's how it looks. So you have to fly and chart planes, and that's a whole unbound adventure into trying to uncover the science of unbound, but that's a different story. This is how the animals look like and they're wild. So we're looking at unboundedness in the wild, if you want. Right? It's not just the luxury of captivity, it's not just the luxury of civilization. Unboundedness is a plenty in the wild. The first principle, of course, is why unboundedness is so important for creativity, is because play is disruptive, and unbound play can be disruptive. Let me show you a quick video. You will see one individual, you all know who you are, who really wants to play, nobody else does. He is disrupting, he also pays the cost. And I think it's important to be okay that being disruptive and creativity has a cost. It's part of it, you cannot get out of that. So this guy wants to play, they don't. They're very serious, they're foraging, they're working, they're looking for food. The only guy who wants to play is that guy, okay? So of course he's taking it out, and he will carry on. And again, and he will pay the cost. And cost. There you go. So he paid the cost, but that's fine. And disruption in play exists also between different species, some of them more annoying than others. Look, for instance, here. Oh. Yeah, so there's some pretty obvious like probing and breaching of boundaries there, right? And in this same state, of course, oops, we lost it. Can somebody help us? Well, in this same state, there we go. Play it's this drive, so it's creating novelty and it's creating diversity all the time, from nothing and from its own pleasure. So have a look at these dolphins, actually, because the creation of diversity and aesthetic pleasure, actually, for its own sake, is a fundamental feature of play. So this is a waste of time. It's an absolute waste of time. There's no utilitarian extrinsic goal. Rather, the goal is intrinsic, is in the activity itself. It's so beautiful, no? Sometimes these techniques end up in innovations, such as foraging techniques, but not always. Play can result in innovation, but not always. Can be just a waste of time, depending, of course, what's your existential position about it. The third principle is that unbound play is essential for social connectivity. And of course, we know this is fundamental for creativity at many different levels. First and foremost, because creativity is putting together things that were previously disparate. That means that if you bring people together that were previously disparate, you will literally put ideas together that were before not together. So that will result in the act of creation. So that means that creating environments of trust, actually, is very important for creativity. And I'll show you, the principle here, what these animals are doing is that they're holding each other, so they can let loose, but they don't. So we have an important relationship between trust, risk-taking, and pleasure, okay? And let me show you what happens in the jungle and how bonobos, who are famously highly sexual, turn this into unbound play. So you'll see a female behind a male. Can somebody tell me what she's doing? She's grabbing him. Can somebody tell me? Yeah, you saw it. So she has him by the testicles. In English, she has him by the balls, right? Only that in here, he's enjoying it. Of course, it's funny, right? And it is very funny. It was very funny for me when I saw it. But it's actually, there's a very profound point here, which is, think about the amount of trust that this takes. Nobody's forcing them. They're doing it for fun. And in play and in unbounded states, we do this. We expose ourselves voluntarily to very dangerous things that actually create and require trust. So that is very, very important. Finally, of course, unbound play is exuberant. It's fun, it's expansive. Unbound play is the champagne of behaviors. So I don't think I need to talk about this, just watch this. Yeah, if we have ever seen exuberance, it's in that video, no? So yeah, who cares? I see my bonobos going like, oh, the doggies are always so cool, especially in YouTube, right? So yeah, who cares? Well, we care, right? You care. We're all in the business of creativity in different ways. And actually, this is very important because it's a state. Joie de vivre is a state which is creative. And if you remember anything, remember that it's very basic. Positivity opens. I put you into a state of openness, of playfulness. You will perform better in creativity tests than you, the same person, will perform under stress. So that is basic, right? You do not need to redesign a new Google building to enhance creativity. Just find ways to create these states. And that is really, again, the main point. Being unbound is being in a creative state. And these are some of the elements that are very important. And how do we elicit them? Of course, it depends on our context. Humans have elicited them actually with the help of wine. We're now in Vinopolis. We have evidence that wine has been produced for 12,000 years before civilization. First we drank wine, then we made civilization. First comes the toast, then the city. And so these are ancient hacks, if you want. They're ancient technologies that have worked for animals and work for us today in creating states that put people in states of unboundedness. And of course, it is essential for creativity because at the end of the day, humor, playfulness, unboundedness, it's about going against the established order. George Orwell wrote, I think it's funny when it upsets the established order. Every joke is a tiny revolution. Being unbound, obviously that's my paraphrasing, is, after all, a kind of subversiveness. So, thank you.